And then you have HEART. And the purpose of HEART is to send the right response to a 911 call. So if you have, if your house is burning, you don't want police or EMS to show up. You want firemen to show up and put that fire out. And the same for the type of calls that have been going on and police have been going to. Mental health calls, substance abuse calls, crises calls, welfare checks, some disturbance calls, things like that, that law enforcement just truly are not trained for, and because they're trained to do other things. So we were created to fill that gap, and the Community Safety Department, or HEART, we have 4 programs under that department. We have a licensed clinician who's embedded in the 911 call center, and they triage calls, they help family members, they help neighbors with finding resources and connecting to those resources and being on the phone with them until other responders can get there. Then we have co-response, which is a licensed clinician that is paired with a law enforcement officer. And they handle high acuity type calls. So anything that's dealing with a violent nature, weapons, that's the program that they respond to those type of calls. Then we have community response team. That's a licensed clinician, a peer support specialist, and an EMT. And they respond to welfare checks, trespass calls, low acuity type calls, calls that were being responded to by law enforcement, a big part. And again, they were not trained to handle those calls. Those are calls where you see a neighbor that may be walking along the street. And for those who don't know, in our department, we call everyone neighbors. So we don't say clients, we don't say patients, we don't say consumers, because literally, we all are neighbors. And if we go with that mentality of community, then we truly can start to heal from inside out. So it may be a neighbor that is down here on Fayetteville by, Linwood and Fayetteville, and instead of sending police, let's send someone who is trained, who understands trauma, who understands mental health challenges. Let's send an EMT who may be able to help bandage that neighbor's feet, who may be able to take somebody's high blood pressure, things like that, and a peer who's able to support and share their lived experience. So we have folks that it's a true dynamic of a team that can go out and help on so many different levels. And then lastly, we have our care navigation, because we understand sometimes that a person may get a resource, or they may get a referral, or they may get help in that moment, and then what? So care navigation is a licensed clinician and a peer support specialist, and they provide extended crisis support. So they connect our neighbors to resources and help fill that gap until long-term care can happen.
Makes a lot of sense and everything. Reverend Scott, I think the first time that I met you, you were actually involved in this notion, and it even comes back to the wellness journey and everything, because sometimes that we are overly advertised, and sometimes there are companies that are advertising toward us that probably don't need to be advertising toward us, because I remember the first time that I heard of a Reverend Minister Paul Scott, you were going against some of the liquor companies and some of the other companies that were literally targeting some of our community and all along those lines. And I hate to say it, but in 2023, those issues that you brought up even about 10 or 15 years ago, it might have even been longer than that, are still pertinent and all along those lines. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, because it's still something that is very pertinent even in our community today, where we are being overly advertised and being targeted and all in that space. And that even comes to the wellness that the sister was talking about as well. But I'd love to hear some of your thoughts as well.
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you for having me on this panel. Thank you for being on the panel as well. How y'all doing? All right. Habaragani. All right. Unity, unity. To answer your question, once again, it's an honor to be on the panel. I could sum it up in one word or one sentence. Sexy Red has the #1 hip-hop song in America. Let's be clear. Rolling Stone has made Sexy Red's Ski Yee the #1 song, rap song of the year of 2023. Now think about how many other rap songs, albums have come up over the year that have been more deserving. Killer Mike, critically acclaimed by the community, by the hood anyway, as being one of the most monumental works since Public Enemy. But yet, the condition of our community right now, they have chosen Sexy Red. Why is that? It's the state of our community. It's the reason that we keep going over through the same cycle over and over again. That's why the things I spoke out on 30 years ago are still relevant today, because those who are in charge of putting the poison, committing genocide on our people are still in power.
True and everything. One of the things that I might have to vote on, right? One of the things that I was curious about in that regard, and I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts, and we'll open it up to the public as well in a little bit and everything, is this notion of we're here in the heart of Hayti, and definitely this is a institution that is proud of the heritage that we're part of, and we definitely do regular things. I mean, Sister Aya does a regular walking tour with the Whistle Stop Tour, and we oftentimes talk about even some of the hard history, like the history as to why Mr. Duke's picture is more prominent than even Jesus Christ himself, and all along those lines. But part of that was part of the narrative that was going on even as this area was being built. And we do see that, as I mentioned, the gentleman that I was talking about was actually a European American gentleman that was getting the TCLI coverage and all along those lines. So we're seeing this area definitely changing. And one of the things that, and this is just my personal opinion, but I'd love to hear from both of you, and I'll start with you, and then I definitely want to hear from Reverend Scott as well, is this notion that if you're moving into an area, I think you ought to know the history of where you're moving into. That's just me personally and everything. So like if you're moving into Durham, no matter what your ethnicity is, I think you need to learn some of the history of Hayti and be aware of the history that you are part of. I don't think you would move into Kansas City without learning about the jazz that city is known for. The same with moving into Memphis and knowing about Beale Street, or we can even go to San Francisco, and I think if you moved to San Francisco, you would probably learn about the trolleys and some of that system and all in that way. But I do sometimes get frustrated when people move here either for education. We have some great institutions like Durham Tech, Duke, and North Carolina Central University, but they don't do enough of reaching into this community to learn about the history that they are part of and all along those lines. So am I wrong in thinking that it's part of holistic living that we should learn a little bit about our heritage and our even our ancestors that have gone on? Because one of my longtime friends who passed a few years back, but I still consider him a mentor and an ancestor, with Bob and Chuck Davis. And we have both of his, we have the figurine as well as his mural upstairs. So if you go upstairs, you'll see a figurine, marionette kind of like figure, and you'll also see a mural going into the dance studio. But I don't know that overall that some of the new blood that is coming in is doing a great enough job of understanding the history that they are part of. But I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts if maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on folks. But I'll start with you, Sister Abina.
So if I understood correctly, you would like to have a brief discussion on folks moving into Durham and not knowing the history of this beautiful space. If we don't know our history, we're going to repeat it, whether that is something that is unhealthy, unbeneficial, or positive. I like to think about Sankofa, which means to go back in your past and fetch in the lessons and move them forward so that you can truly live. So it's not to stay planted in the past and trauma and pain and things like that, but to learn those lessons so that we can move forward. And I would say that we have some work to do in Durham, because what's happening is being repeated. This isn't the first time that this has happened, and it's not only happening in Durham, it's happening across the country. I will say more people are becoming aware of it, and as a people, we are such a beautiful people. we're educated, our spirits are beautiful and strong and powerful, and we are becoming more aware of that. I truly think that. And we're planting the seeds, and folks are watering the seeds. And as long as we continue to plant in fertile ground, we're going to harvest a lot more knowledge and education and beauty and healing and holistic health. Sometimes I also think that we have to be patient with that process, knowing that if I plant something today, I'm not going to eat it next week. So as long as if we see the issue, and if we address it, and if we talk about it, and if we give the knowledge, then know that when we give that knowledge, it's being watered.
Yeah, I definitely understand that and everything. What's your take on that as well?
In 2018, I was fortunate to be in the New York Times. And one of the claims I made back in 2018 was that black people did not feel comfortable in downtown Durham. You can walk downtown, and a city that has so many black people, it is disproportionately white downtown. And the African Americans you do see downtown, 9 times out of 10, they're from some other city. Gentrification is real. Gentrification is real. The reason we have so much violence and crime in certain communities in Durham is because, like you all alluded to, we don't know the history. These young people who they consider killers in Durham, who they are claiming that are terrorizing the city, those are the grandchildren and now great-grandchildren of those people who had their land taken under urban renewal. Now, you can point the finger at little Ray Ray. You can point the finger at little Sabrina, but until we point the finger at the ones who stole the land, and gentrification is too polite of a word. Let's call it what it is. It really should be economic racial cleansing. Economic racial cleansing, because if you look at it historically, there are instances of whole cities where there were black people one day and no black people the next day. A good friend of mine, who we call Sister Spitfire, she always reminds me of one thing. She says that when we're talking about the violence in Durham, when we're talking about these young people who are supposed to be gang banging and riding around shooting people, when we talk about that, we have to remember one thing. And she always reminds me, she says there's an African proverb that says, if the children don't feel the warmth of the village, the children will burn it down. If the children do not feel the warmth of a village, the children will burn it down. Right now, the children are not feeling that they belong in Durham. They are feeling that there are nice places in Durham that they're not allowed to go, so they feel no ownership in Durham. You want to stop the violence? You want to make Durham better? Let these children in the hood feel like they have a vested interest when all these millions and billions of dollars are being spent. Then the violence will stop.
Yep. One of the things that I was curious about, I was actually going to bring in Mama Noni from St. Cia, but one of the other things that sometimes I get frustrated by, and I'm actually a part of the media in addition to working here at the Hayti Center, is that even though we saw Channel 11 here and they definitely did a great job of covering so far Kwanzaa, I sometimes feel that they don't do a good job of covering the important things that are going on that are positive in our community and all along those lines. And I'll give you an example. If y'all are familiar with the Bluefield area of this community, my brother is actually a member of the Slingshot Club. So they literally fed every family there in the Bluefield community, which is a historical minority community as well. How many of you folks saw that on your news? Anybody? Did anybody see it on the news? No, and that's one of the things that I got frustrated by, and they actually got invited by later, I think it was like about earlier this week or the latter part of last week, to actually help feed some hungry at Shirley Caesar's church, which I believe is either here in Durham or Raleigh, I forget where she's at currently, and everything. But that also wasn't covered as well. But if you would just share a little bit about what St. Sia Academy is doing, because I know y'all are doing some amazing work in the community, and I don't know that it's always recognized and everything that is going on in that space. But if you'll share a little bit about what you've got going on.
Okay, well, St. Sia Academy is entering its 28th year in February. We'll be 28 years here. My mother and my dad and several aunties and family members and friends came together and started the school. So it's a community beginning. And right now, let's see, like I said, we are from age 3 all the way through high school. We have students who are graduating between the ages of 15 and 16 and moving on to college, or, you know, trade school, or, you know, beyond high school. We've also managed to, well, I guess we just go ahead and say it. We soak them in, saturate them with an African worldview. They have to be saturated with it. Our children, my issue with a lot of the problems that our kids have is that they don't know anything about themselves. And they don't know their history. They don't know how to value it. It has been diminished. We don't understand as adults that we're in a war for our history. We're in a war for our community. And I inform my children, you're at war. You are. How do we fight? We may not always fight like physically with weapons or whatever, but your mind is your weapon. And so when you're solidly, holistically African in your worldview, then, you know, you just start from there. And then you need to know what happened in Africa. You need to know what happened in the Caribbean. You need to understand the diaspora. And then we have to go back to, what did our people do? What did our people think? What was the worldview? What was our worldview? And understand, we have to decolonize our minds. We have to decolonize our approach to education. But we also have to tell our children that we were the ones that started the alphabet, that came up with the math, that came up with the social constructs of governing, community governing. And so when you go back to how we did it, then now how do we build forward? And now with the understanding of who we live among, how do we make that sustainable? Because we know what happens. There's violence when we try to do this. So what do our children need to understand that? Oh yeah, we had Black Wall Street. All right, how did that get messed up? So now what do we have to do to insulate ourselves for the future generations? That's where the energy needs to be. Stop fighting amongst each other, and how do you create a new worldview based on our African worldview? Cultivate that and protect it.
And how much of that protecting do we need to also tell the history, and I would even argue the history with the warts and all, because there was definitely some people that were not our allies. They were even in our own communities. It was even part of the Black Wall Street conversation, and I think that some of that needs to be told as well, and also some of the whole picture, right? And also in that whole picture, even some of the parts of the history that are left out, because I know that yesterday was Christmas, and I had the pleasure of going up to visit my mother up in the Rocky Mountain, and I was having a conversation with my cousin and my brother, and we were actually thinking about ironically, a liquor company and everything. How many of y'all realize that Jack Daniels wasn't invented by by the face that you see? It was actually invented by a brother who actually his family had their own company, from my understanding, that they have reclaimed their heritage. So sometimes we have to reclaim our heritage as well. But one of the things that we keep hearing, and I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts, but I'll start with you, Mama Noni, is this notion of the education system and how our kids are at fault. And I actually think that that is a bad term. Like I said, my brother has worked with at-risk youth, and I hate that term, at-risk, because I'm trying to figure out what they're at risk of and all along those lines. But do you think that our kids are being painted into a corner in the way that, not so much your school, because yours is a very independent, but our public school system is treating our youth?
Okay, so that's the reason why we started. Because we were like, not on our watch. I don't want to say pull your children out, because people have to have a place to go. You have to go to school. But black families, black parents have to be realistic about where you're sending your kid. And if you're, we have other communities who they're going to speak Spanish in their household. They're going to, talk about the history of their people in their household. And unfortunately, because of this system, we don't know our own history. So for me, the only way to do it is, Saturday programs, Sunday school. I learned a lot of black history in Sunday school. Instagram is doing a good job. TikTok is doing a good job of sowing in this history to young people. If you are in the right algorithm, right? If you got the right algorithm, you're getting a lot of this. I think that those are avenues that we can take, but we are going to have to consciously buy the books. Don't buy your children a whole bunch of toys and not buy one book. I don't buy no toys. I don't buy it unless it's something that's engineering or something like. But we have to be conscious. You have to just be conscious. If you're gonna buy the shoes, buy a book. Buy the shoes. Take your children to a museum. If you have to balance it out. It can't be all transactional. And this is our cultural problem too. Where you get your shoes from, and what your the Nike on your chest and all of that stuff. So we're transactional, but we don't understand this stuff is not sustainable. What we're doing right now is not sustainable. And the people who have the knowledge and the understanding and the creativity, black people, the ingenuity, inventions, all of this stuff, our stuff is always being taken. But we have to we just got to be mindful. You just have to do it. You just have to train your children at home. Don't expect these people out here to do it. And those of us who know better need to create spaces. I'm not at St. Cia to make money. I'm not. I got children there who cannot pay, whose parents cannot pay. I have parents there who can pay the full thing. Yay. I got the folks in the middle. We got this sliding scale. Every child is valuable because I don't know who you are and what you are bringing to the community. But I know you're gifted and talented. So we can't be into things for money, for financial benefit. We have to literally be committed to our community. That's not easy. It's not easy. It's a sacrifice. Sometimes you almost lose everything. I've been in that space. But, I've persevered. Thank God I have family. We're still here. We're still moving through this space. But it is our personal commitment to teaching these children. It is you got to do it. If you don't have any children, I take donations for books. I take donations to offset tuition fees. And every year I have a child whose mama can't do it. Every year. So what am I going to do, send you home? No. You're going to stay there with me. I'm going to be your mama, your grandmama, and make sure I get you through. And I had a situation this morning where I had to tell a child, I'm here for you. Make, whatever decisions you make, I'm here for you to see you through whatever the situation is. We have to have that level of commitment. And it can't be to everybody. Just do one. Just do two. But we have to educate our own kids. We don't even think these people are going to do it. They're not. Unless you're going to join the school board. Now, you can get on the school board and fight. I'm not the one, because somebody's feelings going to be hurt, and I ain't going to apologize. So I don't need to be on the board. But some of y'all go up there and fight for your kids. Fight for the curriculum you want. Fight for what you want to be taught in the class. How about go in there and teach what you want them to learn? And let them tell you you can't do it after you have done it. Oh, well, too late. I've already done it. But anyway, that's what I would say. Sorry.
No problem. That was a very powerful testimony and everything. Sister Amina, one of the things that I sometimes wonder about, and I'd love your thoughts around this and everything, is this notion of do we support enough of our own even in the wholeness space? Because you mentioned Heart earlier, and I know that there is a company here, which is Perkins Farms, and I don't know if they get enough support as much as they should, or even Tall Grass and a number of others. So do we do a good enough job of supporting even our own in our community, even in the wellness journey, including some of those like the two that I just mentioned that are doing stuff in that natural farming space? Abena, sorry. I will get it correct.
I'm going to help you.
Thank you.
Maya Angelou once said, or she has said a few times, know better, you do better. Mm-hmm. Those of us who know better, let's continue to do better. Right. And when we do better, by supporting, by going to the farmer's market, by buying black, by telling someone else, oh, look at this site, purchase this, do that. That's how we holistically heal and grow. If you know something, don't keep it to yourself. There's enough out here for everybody. So I've had a few businesses making my own body skin products. We had a vegan catering company. And it grows because we share it, and we remain open to all community. Because I want everyone to heal. I want our people to heal, melanated originals. And I also want everybody else to heal, because everybody came from us. Right. So everybody on this planet needs to heal. But it takes us to plant those seeds again. And to water those seeds. So yes, so with going back to Heart, we have resources and we have different referrals. And I consciously and intentionally put things in place for my people. So when we have a person that may be unsheltered or food insecure, I'm telling my staff, oh, check out this place because they give out boxes. And as a brother, and me telling them that we'll get that neighbor fed, but it's also going to be a bridge for that staff member and then their family, and that's how it spreads. It's throwing a pebble in the lake and its ripple effects.
Yeah. Abena, just really quickly, along those same lines, and I got a question for Minister Scott as well, but do you sometimes feel, because one thing that shocks me, and I actually live not that far from the Duke campus and everything, is the amount of homeless that are here in this area. And like I said, we have a very, and you even alluded to it earlier, a very prominent area, and we see all this robust things that are going on in the community. But even in this lovely area, there's a number of people that are homeless as well. So I just wanted your thoughts around that, because I know that it shocks me when I come to work here, and I sometimes will see the people coming that are dealing with this issue. And like I said, literally right down from the VA and Duke Hospital, there's a whole camp of them that are there on a regular basis. So I was just wondering your thoughts around that, and what can we do about that as we're thinking about this wellness journey?
There are a lot of unsheltered individuals in this city and many cities that look like this across the country. Because you had mentioned earlier in the conversation affordable. What is that? Like, and we're not going to dig into it right now, but affordable is a loaded word. Right. And there are a lot of people in this city, whether you see them when you drive in or you don't, that are unsheltered, that don't have a stable home to live. And a lot of it is because they are working. And so when you're driving and when you're out here, I don't want you to think that the people that you see that may be standing on the corner may want to be out there, or they are substance users. And, a lot of the other biases that we have in our minds. A lot of folks that are unsheltered have jobs. They may work in fast food or they may work at Duke. But if you're getting paid $12 an hour, $13, $14, $15 an hour, you cannot afford Durham. You really can't. And so a lot of times folks are out there on the corner because they need to make a little extra. So I share that because I want us to rid ourselves of biases, because once again, we all are neighbors, because we don't know when we're going to need something, and we're going to need community to come for us. So what I'll say is that every single person in here can vote. You can go to your city council and you can say, we want housing for everybody, because it's money in Durham. So you can say, let's put some day programs in place. Let's put some social workers in place. Let's put some teachers in place so that we can educate the people that are unsheltered, or anyone for that matter. Let's educate them so that they can get jobs that pays $25, $30, $35, $40 an hour so that they can live. And then once you feel good about yourself, if you have children, then that's instilled in them. Then they feel good about themselves, then they're going to school, and then they're getting the education. It's generational. It's breaking the trauma, the generational trauma. But it starts with, go to your councilman. They recently changed. Go, look them up, send emails and say, I want some things put in place for housing.
And speaking of that, Loaded Chairman, I'd love to hear your thoughts around that, Mama Noni, as well, is that this whole notion, because even in the housing conversation, it sometimes comes down to this notion of the underemployed, and you kind of alluded to that, because a lot of the people that, when we hear these lovely low percentages of 3.5%, that doesn't count those that gave up on the jobs and are not counted as well. But I'd love to, as an educator, your thoughts.
I just wanted to say that I've been to Sierra Leone twice. And the first thing they said to me was, wow, I know you all are so rich over there, and you've got all of these beautiful houses and stuff like that. And when I said, no, we've got homeless people, they were like, you mean people have no village? They have no village? That blew me away. Because I was like, yeah, what? I mean, I was like, yeah, they have a village. No, they don't. What does that say how far we have moved from our African self, that we have people who have no village in our community? So that's what they're unhoused, but they're also, we've lost our village, and then we've allowed people to be out there.
But speaking of losing that village and everything, and I was going to come and then I'll definitely open it up to the public, you actually alluded to something earlier, and actually I think you did too, Abina, and everything. But one of the things that I have heard people say a lot lately is kind of the co-opting of history in the opposite direction. Because one, I've heard a lot of people say, and I agree with you, that if we want to go by history, everybody of any race is of African descent. But you do have some people that are taking that and kind of twisting it so that in their narrative, so that they are almost kind of like trying to reclaim their part of the destiny, but not acknowledging our part of the destiny as well. But I'd love to hear your thoughts around that, because I've even had some encounters where people, I'll open it up to you. Go for it.
I got to stand on business. This has been very powerful, and that goes back to the education part. Our culture is being stolen. They call it cultural appropriation. They want everything except the pain we went through. All the glamorous stuff, the hip hop, the movies, they love that. But they want everything except the pain. How do we get our culture back? One of the things I've done, now I've advocated for Black history in the schools for probably 20 years. I fought against them because they really don't talk about it, but it's mandatory for your child to learn Holocaust history, but we're still fighting for Black history. I was one of I was the one who went to the school board and said, had them do a resolution, and the city council to have them do a resolution. Lastly, have a resolution from the against what they're trying to do. It's called House Bill 432, I believe. It's been a couple of House bills where they're trying to ban Black history from schools. They're still trying. They do try to do that every year. What they did do, they made Holocaust history mandatory. What me and a very few other people did, and I won't say a few people, a lot of Black legislators did, we tried to get them to add Black history to the Holocaust bill. They wouldn't even entertain the question. They had people raise their hand. They didn't take a vote. They had people raise their hand with yea or nay, and even one of the reporters said it was so close, he couldn't tell which way it went. Figure that one out. But the solution, one of the things I've been doing to save our history, getting back to your question, and the culture, for the last 20 years, I've been giving away free Black cultural books in the community.
Yeah.
No grants, no access. People pretending they don't see me, ride right by, turn their head. 20 years on the West End every Sunday. I had a grandchild that was born, he'll be, God's willing, a year old next year. I mean, not next year, a year old next year. What sense that make? In 2 weeks, he'll be a year old. Now, I said I had to do more. I got a young Black male coming to this world. Our culture is under attack. So instead of doing it one day a week on the West End for 18 years, I moved over to Bragtown and started doing it 6 evenings out the week. No grant, none of that. Very little support. All I had and have, a book sack, and people donated books and gift card to get books, and some worn-out shoes. I walk through the neighborhoods and give impromptu, because I'm a product of the No Bookstore. Dr. Bruce Bridges did not charge me to go on his radio show. He did not charge me. This goes back to cooperative economics. He did not charge me to use the No Bookstore to feed the community, to teach the community. So I go out freely of my time and teach the community and give out those donated books, and some books that I've had to go to a used bookstore and give a couple. We have to take things in our own hands. My ministry is the Black Messiah movement. And the theme for that ministry is stop waiting for a savior and be one. Can I say that again? Stop waiting for a savior and be one. One of the problems we have in our community is we're waiting for somebody else to come save us. Some people are waiting for somebody to come out the sky and come save us. Some people are waiting for Malcolm X to come back, or Marcus Garvey to come back, or Martin Luther King to come back. Some of the younger generation are waiting for Biggie and Tupac to come back. We have to stop waiting for people to come save us and take the collective work and responsibility this day to save our communities. One of the things, and I'm in with this, one of the things we just started today is the Bull City Kwanzaa Challenge. The Bull City Kwanzaa Challenge. When it comes to teaching our history, I challenge everybody to take the Kwanzaa principles that we're celebrating today and implement them year long. Every principle, Nia, Imani, Umoja, Kuji Chakalita, all of those, implement them year long, and Durham will change. One more thing we just started. We started something called the Black Hoodie Brigade. Just like the Black Panthers used to politicize the black leather jackets, everybody can't afford a black leather jacket. Everybody got a black hoodie, though. I got the hood walking around with black hoodies and African beads. I give people African beads, too. They don't cost much. I got people around Bragtown walking around with African beads and hoodies and books in their hands. It can be done. No grants, no support, no money, just relying on the principles, God's willing, and the will to do it.
It makes a lot of sense and everything. Hey, Mama Noni, one of the things, and we actually had the privilege recently of having her actually do part of her lecture here was the 1619 project, and we know that a lot of times that even got some pushback as well, and we know that a lot of folks, even when she tried to get a job at UNC, there was some pushback as well. But I just wondering your thoughts, because I know that when the lady that put together that book came here, when Nicole came here, it was a very powerful conversation. It was actually part of the PBS special that they had, literally doing the interview here in this particular sanctuary and everything. But I know that whether it's Florida, whether it's a number of these other kind of reactionary places, for lack of a better term, there is some pushback against us teaching our history even in the school system. So I was wondering your thoughts around that, as one that is an advocate of us teaching ourselves, but also an advocate for the school system doing a better job.
Okay. I personally believe we need to start with 1470, because that's when the Portuguese left Portugal to look for gold. They were looking for Mansa Musa. That's when the problem started. We have to know about Abubakar II, who sailed across the ocean. That was Mansa Musa's uncle back in the 1300s, who they believe landed off the coast of Brazil. Maybe we're not positive, but we know that the indigenous people, when Columbus came, said, oh yeah, some black people came and they gave us this guinea on the spear, the gold that was on the spear. That was one of the things they traded. So 1619 is okay if you're talking about America, the white lion kidnapping people who were on their way to Brazil, and the boat was captured and brought to Virginia. But do we know about Fort Mose in Florida, which was a colony that was started back in the 1500s by the Spanish? And then it became one of the Underground Railroad passages from people who were in Georgia and South Carolina. So we have a lot of dates. We just don't know them. By the way, St. Cia children know this stuff, because these dates they're significant, but you can't start with just one. So 1619 is good if you don't know about the white lion. It's great if you don't know about the 20 Africans that came on there were from Angola. And who was fighting in Angola? Queen Nzinga, or Jinga, if you want to know. So she was battling with the Portuguese as well. So for me, the breadth of the history is what we need to understand. And I don't know how to do it. Maybe I need to do a podcast or something. I don't know. Because I'm saturated with this information, because it's been 40, 50 years of learning it and teaching it and trying, to pass it on to the kids. But that's my issue with 1619. I think that's kind of late. It's a late date. We had folks coming, explorers that were, Esteban Durantes, all those folks that were down there in Mexico who came. And then, like I said, Fort Mose. Please look up that one, Fort Mose in Florida, to learn about how it was run by a black, I think he may have been Mandinka, soldier who was defending that area against the British invasion. And black people were able to escape from Georgia and South Carolina into that space. And there was one of the reasons why, okay, which one is it? I'm trying to think. The guy who fought in South Carolina, the freedom fighter, they killed a whole bunch of them because he was, not Nat Turner. DMRVC? Okay, maybe it was him. Okay. He and Fort Mose were in collaboration for that takeover. And a lot of us don't know that history. I mean, they were getting ready to have a whole revolutionary war, which is why the British said, we got to close Fort Mose down. So there's so much stuff we don't know.
Definitely a lot of stuff we don't know, and I might have to talk to you about getting St. Sia Academy as I'm part of a podcasting network to get a show where you can break down some of this history and all along those lines. And definitely that might have to happen sooner versus later and all along those lines. But, you know, one of the things that is a lot of people talk about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts around this, and this is for everybody, but I'll start with you, Sister Abina, and everything, is this notion of, because you mentioned it earlier, I think that sometimes there's this whole divided and conquer kind of mentality, and sometimes that plays into the picture as well, because I know that there are not just the African American community, but one of the things that I think people mistake, and I know Kwanzaa came out of a gentleman that was primarily considered a black nationalist, and there's no doubt about that. But in the modern incarnation of Kwanzaa, it seems to me to be a very unified celebration, and I think that that is something that is a positive nature and everything. But I was wondering your take around that, because I'm seeing a lot of folks that are European American, even Hispanic American, and others that are coming and enjoying some of the principles, and I think that there needs to be more unity in the conversation, because one of the things we, even I and Telly were talking about was building fences, and I don't know that we're building enough fences with our other minority communities, but I'd love to know your take on that, because I think Hart does some of that work as well. Go for it.
Okay. So again, we all are original, no matter the deepness of our melanin. And I love Kwanzaa. Like, Kwanzaa is my favorite celebration. My family knows I love, love, love Kwanzaa. And I love Kwanzaa because of the principles that we in our household, we practice every single day in our community, because I love being black. And I love my community, and I will continue to uplift my community. And if someone whose skin is not as melanated as mine wants to learn, then it's my responsibility to teach them. I will always look at my actions and behaviors as planting seeds. And the earth is right, and I will continue to plant seeds that will grow and will blossom. So if I have a white person, a Latina, I don't care who it is, if they want to learn about cooperative economics and know how to put money in my community without any strings, then I'm going to teach you, because that money is going to help somebody else, that then they're going to go help somebody else. If they want to learn the true words of umoja and unity, we are such a united people, and I strongly dislike when people say we're not unified or we don't come together. And even like the community in the village, we have a village. It may not be publicized, it's not on media, but when I tell you people come together and I only have $10, but I'm gonna give you $5 because I know your children hungry, that's still happening. I had people, when I was growing up, I lived on a dirt road with an outhouse. People supported my family, people came, and it's still happening today. We don't always talk about it, we don't always put it on Instagram and TikTok and all this other stuff, but it's still happening. So if there are other people who want to learn, you know, cooperative, you know, all of these tools, and if I'm going to teach them, because it's my responsibility, because if I don't teach them, sometimes how will they learn? And I'm not saying that it's my responsibility to teach folks how to heal from their trauma when they've done something to me. I'm not saying that, because you need to go research and figure out how to right your wrong. Right. But if they want to give, I'm going to take it and I'm going to teach them. Because as a black woman, it's my responsibility to nurture and to move forward the culture.
That makes a lot of sense. I can definitely relate to that. And by the way, I grew up in Warrenton, North Carolina, so I actually know what an outhouse is. I can definitely relate to that whole concept because definitely we've got them in Halifax County and Warren County and all in that general area. Just really quickly before I got a question for you as well, but you mentioned briefly about social media. How important is that even in our wellness journey? Because I do think that sometimes our kids are getting too caught up in the social media and that whole algorithm thing. So I was just wondering both of your takes on that and everything.
It's a tool that some use wisely and some don't. As adults, it's on us to teach and help guide. So whether that is to have conversations and talk about, oh, okay, what are you seeing? What's being promoted? It's on us parents to, okay, I may not be able to sit by my daughter all day, but I can put something on her phone that's going to limit the amount of time that they on these apps. So I'm not one to blame the outside. And I never will, because it's on me. It's on me to be aware and to have those conversations and communicate with my young people. And that's my biological young people or my young people that's out here in the streets, in the community, in the schools. And you had mentioned earlier before, and I just want to say, it's on us to go volunteer in these schools. We don't always have to promote certain things, but I can go into school and say I'm a volunteer for this class, and while I'm talking to you, you know what? I want you to read this book. Oh, I want you to go and research. People, these young people know how to get on the internet. They know how to Google. They know. I'm always like, Jasir, come help me with this. Jasir is my son. Because I'm like, that's not my thing. But I can go into the school and I can say, oh, you know what? Here's this game to play. So it doesn't always have to be so out in the open. But you can plant the seeds. And then they're going to talk to their friends about, oh, you know what, this book, oh, this is the lesson, this is the, and that's how it spreads.
That makes a lot of sense. Before I open it up to the public and get a couple of questions from the audience and everything, one of the things I know people sometimes are wondering about, and I mentioned earlier that sometimes there are other communities that come into our neighborhoods, and I'd love to hear your thoughts around that, because there's even been a number of people that will sometimes move in and exploit by coming into our neighborhoods and all along those lines. But I'd love to hear your thoughts around that, because there are a number of communities, sometimes Hispanic, sometimes Arab, sometimes a number of others as well. But your take on that, because that is another part of the conversation that we're hearing a lot about as well.
You keep throwing me the ball, don't you? I love it, though. I'm just playing. But my position, and again, I stand on business. I've been studying dialectical materialism a lot. You know, that's that Marxist, but not coming from Karl Marx, coming from Kwame Ture, Kwame Nkrumah, Steve Biko to a degree, and people of that ideology. One of the things I believe, because first of all, my mission is to teach my people. My mission is to go to the least of these. If other people now, when we no longer are the least of these, or on the bottom of the totem pole economically, socially, and politically, then maybe I'll worry about other folks. However, there's stages. There's stages. I think Kwame Ture and Nkrumah and the rest of them will agree there's stages as far as spreading knowledge or unity. First step of unity is unify yourself. How you going to unify other people? You ain't one with yourself. You ain't got no morals. You ain't got no knowledge of self or consciousness. That comes first. Secondly, your own family. Got to get our families together. Thirdly, our own communities. I'm black, so my first and foremost, I gotta go to the black community. As long as my people are suffering, I gotta go to the black community. And fourth, if we get there, unifying everybody else. But really, as black people, we ain't past stage one yet. Malcolm X said, how can you teach me to love somebody else while I hate myself, to paraphrase? We still hate ourselves. That's why it's so easy for us to adapt the language of the Portuguese when they came to Africa and called us the N-word. Don't give me that, it just means niggas, brother. Nope. Two different words. Still your etymology. It came from the Portuguese, came to Africa and called us it's derivative of Negro. And that meant an object. I point to, and we're talking about cultural appropriation, I guess. One of the problems, I'm from the hip-hop era, as you can tell. I've written hip-hop articles for the Final Call, for All Hip-Hop, for yada, yada, yada. But anyway, one of the problems with hip-hop, although we love Public Enemy, we love X-Clan, we love Boogie Down Production, from the year 1988 through around 1990, hip-hop was black, 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 black. But then MTV came. And then NWA and the rest of them came, and it became white people began to live vicariously through the hood, through hip-hop. The problem with conscious hip-hop that we love is it started off teaching black people to love themselves. Then it veered off around 1990 or so, being ambassadors to white America. No longer was the focus on teaching little black children about the history you talking about, sister. It was no longer about that. It became more about teaching white people to love black people. And somewhere in the midst, we forgot to tell our children how to love themselves. That's the only problem I have when we skip over teaching black people. I think there's steps to this. And me personally, I'm still at the step of teaching black people their own culture and how to have knowledge. I think everybody else is pretty clear, the Irish, the Germans, because historically speaking, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, you know, my people came over from Ireland. I debated Sean Hannity a couple of times on Fox News back in the day. And one of the things he always says is, well, Scott, you talk about he says, Paul, in his little nasally voice. Paul, you always talk about slavery. Paul, you always talk about slavery. My people came over from Ireland. But yeah, the difference between our ancestors and their ancestors came over with their culture intact. And no matter what, how the Irish fought against the British and other people, they had one thing in common. They hated my ancestors. Even W.B. Du Bois, in his book, Black Reconstruction, he makes the point that the one thing about white America was, even though they talk about racism and things of that nature, the poorest white person in America, in Mississippi, in Alabama, in New Orleans, in Louisiana, the poorest white person, based on the color of their skin, still felt they were superior to the richest black person.
Yeah, definitely.
With regards to gentrification, we have an experience. Our neighborhood was 1972, all black. And just within the last 10 years, we've had, influx. Hispanic families came in, no problem. And the majority of the white families that came in, as far as I know, no problem. But we've had two encounters. One, we have a drumming class at my school, Telly Shabu, every Friday. And so I had police for the first time in 20-something years come to my house and have a conversation with me about drumming at my house on a Friday afternoon. And I was not nice. And so I was like, they're like, well, don't you care about your neighbors? I said, no, not at 1:30 on a Friday. I don't. And so they're like, well, you're being, obnoxious and disregarding. I said, no, if they had a problem, they could have come over here and said, excuse me, hey, how you doing? I was just wondering, what are y'all doing? Or, no, you call the police, so now you my enemy. I don't, and that was my issue. I have other people in the community who have not done that. All right. Now we had another situation where a new family moved in, had the previous owner, beautiful young man, white guy, had a garden, would bring me greens, from his garden, but he moved. When the new family moved in, the owner put a sign in her front yard. Mind you, she has not grown anything. And put a sign saying, I have cameras watching you. If you steal anything from me, that is theft, and you are robbers, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hold on, pause. I found her camera and left her a very interesting message. Are you moving into my community, accusing my people of stealing your food that you didn't even grow? And that's what I think most of us don't like. Come across the street and say, hey, how you doing? Or I go across the street and say, hey, how you doing? Move into my community and with your full humanity. So I can practice my full humanity also. I think most of us don't have a problem with gentrification until it becomes nasty and ugly and abusive. But if you didn't understand the relationship this young white man had with our community. He was giving people food. People felt free to go and take a peach off the tree because he had opened that up. He didn't have to, but he made that overture and had baskets out like this one. Come get some corn, So if you have that kind of person who understands community, then like Ebona said, that's not my problem. I have no problem building community with people who want to build community. My problem is with people who want to come into the community and start throwing darts. I will throw darts. I'm not even, I have no capacity for it. And I'm not going to be nice and try to figure out where you're coming from because I would never do that to you. So, that may sound unreasonable, but no, I'm not. I'm just not. But I do not start there. I greet you. Hello, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Not in your business. Don't put up a sign in my yard telling people we can't eat something and you don't even know us yet.
Now, that makes a lot of sense, and along those same lines, even the definitions and everything can be very interesting, because I know that as part of the podcast live stream that I'm part of, there is a gentleman that swears up and down, and y'all are going to hear me loud and clear, because he swears up and down that he had a slave, and he claims that he had the slave in Canada, but he let this gentleman go. He let this gentleman go in his own will and everything along those lines. Last time I checked, that was an indentured servant. That was not a slave, and all along those lines. But he's got this mentality that he thinks he had a slave because he's a privileged gentleman, and all along those lines. So I think he was exploiting his privilege by even using the term when the term wasn't even the correct term. But that's just kind of like, he told me that and he said it several times. But I'm going to open it up just really quickly, and then I'll have everybody make some closing statements as we get ready to wind down. This has been a very enlightening conversation. I hope you all have enjoyed it. But if anybody has any questions and you want to raise your hands, and I'll try to see who's out there, and then I'll try to get to you and everything. But anybody have any questions or thoughts that you would like to share as well? Yeah, go for it. I don't know if anybody else has any comments, but I do know that there have been a number of folks that have even been paying attention to our political landscape, and there are a lot of folks that are actually carrying that narrative that you're talking about, because there are a number of candidates that have a very, I'll just say, racist and reactionary viewpoint, and they are not shameful about what they are putting out there and all along those lines. But definitely there are some folks out there that are not being pussyfooting around this notion of their attitudes and what they are believing in. And there is a leading candidate of a leading party, but I could actually argue that both parties have the issue as well. No, I said both parties are guilty of it. A lot of sense and everything. Any other questions or thoughts that people want to share before I open it up to folks? Yeah.
Talk about it all the time is the medical doctors and scientists have proven when the egg was fertilized that became us, we can have 7 generations of unresolved stuff from both sides of the family. So as a people, it is important. Like me, I'll be 70 next year. My maternal grandfather, great-grandfather, was a plantation owner. My paternal grandfather was a product of rape. So imagine what is being passed down. So for a lot of us, it's about healing the trauma that has been passed down so that we can move forward. And a lot of people don't even know that their life can be better because this is all that they've seen. So I spend a lot of time with helping people heal, and healing is mental, physical, spiritual, and energetic. And prior to the pandemic, I taught 7 courses for 9 years, and then I stopped because I've been too busy working. But I had just put together a course, Healing the Willie Lynch Indoctrination. And I am going to start, people are like, when are you going to pay? When are you going to say it? So I am going to start teaching that next year. But it's about healing first so that we can be and do. And there is it was on, PBS. And I have it as an 8-track. It was that old. But it was a group of British scientists that proved that every single person in the world came from a black woman in Africa. You can now see it on Netflix and stuff, but it is about learning the history. But until people have healed, they can't do anything. People can only do what they believe, and people can only come from their wounds. So it's about us healing so that we can live the life and move forward and live the life that we were put here to live.
Bing, if you talk to that, because I know you've alluded to it a couple of times, this notion of trauma and us healing from that trauma. So that's something that I know is very much a part of your work. So if you allude to that as well, to what the sister just talked about, because I do think that oftentimes we don't think about that trauma. One of the things that I talk about, and I alluded to it earlier, and it's part of what I do when I am the one that gives the history talks, because I and them do the whistle stops, but every once in a while, Angela and them will have me do a talk. And even when I had the Duke students, I literally pointed to Mr. Duke, and I pointed to Jesus Christ, because to me, that's an exercise in vanity, if there was ever an exercise in vanity. But it's also about that trauma as well, because the fact that you're going to get your money to get a stained glass window, and you're going to say, I'm going to have the most prominent stained glass window, that's some serious trauma.
So Mama Pat is my dear friend, so we often talk about this topic, trauma. When something happens to us, the age that it happens, that's where we get stuck developmentally. So chronically, we are continuing to grow. But until we heal whatever happened, we are at that age. And it could be emotionally, mental, financial, spiritual, cellular, energetically. And again, it is holistic, going back to the very first topic. When we heal one thing, we can't stop and think that, okay, we're good. We have to go to the next. And also, healing isn't a singular thing. Each time we elevate or we grow or we get consciousness or woke, all of these different terms that is semantic with what we want to do, healing happens on another level until we are at a point where it's complete. I'm a psychotherapist. I've been doing therapy for over 20 years, and I often tell my clients it's like an onion and pulling back the layers. And each time you may cry, it may burn, it may hurt, but until you get to the core where honestly it's sweet if you've ever eaten an onion, but you have to peel back those layers. And we're often triggered by different things as well. So if you don't heal, if you don't peel back the onions, if you don't wipe the mirror, if you don't strive to look through the fog, you're going to consciously be in this space of perpetual pain, and not even truly being conscious of it. And it's going to just be a trigger. And I see it in my 9 to 5. I see it in my business. I see it in the community because trauma is real. And things that may trigger us may have happened from our grandparents, our great-grandparents. And when we do the work, though, doing the work, standing on your square, standing and saying, I'm ready, and truly being ready for it, because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, but it's so sweet when you move through it. And a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are dealing with trauma. In this community, in Durham, the people that I encounter, the neighbors that I work with, a lot of it is trauma. It's trauma with our young people who are misdiagnosed. And again, I'm a psychotherapist, and I've gone to bat with other clinicians and teachers and other folks who strive to put labels on my children. And again, all the babies are my children. I heard a baby cry, and I was like, oh, because all the babies are mine. And once we start to take that philosophy, also things change, and healing begins, because we recognize that we are interconnected. And if I start to heal, then maybe Mama Noni will start to heal, because she'll see my growth. And like the brother said, he just started learning this information. So now he's going to learn it, and it's a ripple effect. But somebody has to stand and do the work.
I wanted to just say, we also need to understand that they have done genetics, and epigenetics is area that my brother studied. And there is not only a psychological aspect of this trauma, our genetic coding has actually changed as a result of the trauma. So the stress we carry is inherited from previous generations. And so we have to teach, we have to know our history, we have to move through this pain. I participate in John Canoe. John Canoe was a African man from Ghana who fought at Fort Fredericksburg. He was a chief, and he captured Fort Fredericksburg in 1708, something like that. And Fort Fredericksburg was a slave castle. The legend of this man's conquering that area for 20 years, traveled with Ghanaians from Ghana to Jamaica, to Bahamas, to Belize, and even right here in North Carolina at Stagville, they still practice John Canoe. So they practiced it in the 1800s. To get my parents to go to this place where you have slave cabins was so traumatic the first time we went out there. Folks were like, oh my God, they didn't want to deal with this. Even though this celebration was about Africans saying, we're going to celebrate this person who fought for our freedom. Many of them still can't get their heads around it because of the trauma. So we can't even see the people who practiced this, who celebrated freedom in the face of white plantation owners because of the trauma of slavery, just to speak about it. But we have to deal with it. It was our history. We can't run away from it. You have to see these people as human. My conversation this last year was, who are these people? Who are these people who lived in these cabins? These cabins were built in the 1800s. They are still standing. What else is still standing? Pyramids of Giza. What else is still standing? The Great Wall of Zimbabwe. What else is still standing? The Great Wall of Benin. And at the end, and who else is still standing? We are still standing. And there are 5,000 descendants from the Africans that live there that we are doing this for, this reenactment. So we have a lot of trauma. And I just give thanks for Dr. Chris, because she helped me through some of mine. And, love you.
Hey, Mama Noni, along those same lines, what can we do, and then we'll get ready to wind down totally and everything, but what can we do to make sure to encourage some of our folks that are being successful actually come back and actually bring some of their knowledge back into our community? I know that even, I think at St. Cia, there have been some brothers and sisters from IBM that have come and have taught drones and other things. So what can we do to do more of that encouragement to get some of our brothers and sisters, be they at Duke or RTP, to come and actually support our youth? Because I think that that's one of the things that we don't see enough of, is this kind of positive news where we are seeing our folks being encouraging and helping our young people see that they have alternatives.
Well, I think that Abner said that there are people in the community who are doing it. Yep. And they're doing it where they are, And so I don't want to say I give up on folks, but I got to do what I can do where I am, right? So people have to, Baba is doing what he can in his space. Everybody just needs to do what they can in their space. I can't, I would love to go and grab these people, but if their heart is not in it, if their heart is not in it, you're going to, So, folk there are people out here that are doing organizations, reaching out to kids. I know there's a person that's doing something with airplanes and art, and I get a lot of threads, through my email. There are people in the community, like you said. I don't want us to think we're not doing anything. There are a lot of people doing stuff. And then there are a whole lot of people who ain't doing nothing. I don't know how to reach them. If they don't have the heart to do it, I want people who have the heart to do it. If you don't want to do it, don't bring your energy around me. I don't want you, don't come. But those who want to, you don't have to start big. My mama, we started the school with 7 children. We now have 50-something. And I would make it larger. I just, in all of this, but I'm not, I try to be realistic about what I can actually do. And so I have to build a community around me, under me, to undergird me before I can, take this to the next level. I'm sure there are people out there who could buy me a building and do, they could, but I ain't begging them, and I want to do real well with what I got. I want to make sure my kids have a very solid education, love for themselves, love for their community, understand that you are here to serve and build your community on your journey, and that it give back, support people, but I would entreat everyone to do something, but do if you're doing something where you are, if you're taking care of an elder in your community, woo woo. If you are reaching out to a child in your community who may not have the supervision they need, woo woo, do that. Do them small things and those big things too.
Yep, no doubt about that. Like I said, Gary, to wind down, one thing I was going to say, even to what you said, Abina, and everything, is this notion of definitely being part of the greater village and all along those lines. Because while I have no children of my own, I have my 2 nephews, but I also consider myself a uncle figure or a father figure, and I think even Minister Paul Scott has seen me do a lot of this kind of work in the community, even here at Hayti and everything. So there are a number of people that I consider to be a mentor to, even though the only 2 that are directly in my lineage are my 2 nephews and all along those lines. So I definitely think that that's something we need to have more of in the community, and you can find a way to get engaged and all in that space. So I'll start with you, and I'll then pass it down to everybody and all along those lines. But with closing remarks and all along those lines, and then we'll have the whole celebration and the candle lighting very shortly. But this has been a very insightful conversation. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed moderating it and all along those lines. But I'll start with Reverend Scott.
I want to thank you, first of all, Mark, because the way Durham politics works, I'm just going to, again, stand on business to take a chance to put a microphone in our hands, the people on this stage. It took a lot of courage. It took a risk. So I want to thank you, brother. Give this brother a hand. I want to thank you for putting this together. But real briefly, y'all got your phones? Take out your phones and write this down. council@durhamnc.gov. council@durhamnc.gov. Let the city council know that you want to see African-centered solutions implemented in Durham policy to save these babies. That's all you got to tell them. Because if I just say it, if Mama just says it, if Sister just says it, oh, that's just a few people. But if we all say it, we want the Kwanzaa principles incorporated in Durham politics for 2024. Also, you want to follow me on social media, Black Messiah Movement, everything. Black Messiah Movement, YouTube, Instagram, everything the young folks do, Black Messiah Movement. And lastly, you want to be down with the latest movement in Durham, the Black Hoodie Brigade, get you a black hoodie, get some African beads, and let's rock.
Appreciate it, and I'm gonna pass it to Mama Noni as well. And by the way, I do this whole podcasting thing on a regular basis when I'm not working at Hayti. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see a number of these things going on Pod TV, where I bring these kind of conversations to the forefront. So playing a shameless on my own part.
Buy your children a book. Buy your children a book about history. Read with them regularly. Let them share your own family histories, depending on their age, the good and the bad, so they can understand how we have moved, how do we need to move through these things, and how we have accomplished things, how we have triumphed in spite of the things that have come. St. Sia is still, our website should be fully up on January 1st. It's stsia.org, stsya.org. If you want to come, we have rites of passage every month on a third Friday. Come through, share what your talents and your gifts are with our students, and let's build that community. Ashe.
Peace. Thank you, Mark, for having me. Thank each of you for being here and holding space and being part of this conversation. We've just sent out a lot of ripples in the ocean, and that makes me happy. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Abena Bediako, LCSW, ABENA BEDIAKO, LCSW. I've also authored 2 books. You can find on Amazon. Dear Baba is talking about the healing of a family and a young girl who lost her father to police brutality. Again, that's Dear Baba. And I'm always open to conversations and talking about solutions and how to heal as a people. Peace.
And on that note, we're going to head on out of here. Like I said, they'll be coming in with the candlelight. And of course, we've got some good friends of mine that'll be performing very shortly, so I'm looking forward to seeing Africa Unplugged right here and all along those lines. So it should be an amazing time, but we're going to get out. Definitely check out the vendors. There's some amazing things out there if you haven't done that already, and definitely we'll be back in here shortly. But hope that y'all enjoyed the conversation. We can wrap it up right now.
Good evening and welcome to the historic Hayti Heritage Center. We ask that you silence all cell phones and enjoy the show.
Habari Gani. Yeah, y'all, yeah. I am so happy to be with y'all tonight. Listen, I had to get my Shaker Ray vibe down here. So I'm running up here, and I'm happy to be right here to celebrate Kwanzaa today. Yes. Let me tell you something. We're going to get to the left, right. But let's just get this part straight. Celebration is powerful. There's a good science to celebration. When you come together to celebrate, you're taking authority over that thing. You're saying we're going to win. However this goes, whatever the journey is to the end, in the end, we win. And we're celebrating right now. Celebration, when we come together traditionally in African settings, to celebrate at the beginning. Wait a minute, I said we celebrate at the beginning. Yeah, that's right now. We haven't started this new year yet, but we're celebrating all of the victories that we're going to have in the coming year as a community and as families and as individuals together right here, right now. Are you ready? The answer is yes. Hey, all right. Yeah. All right, so we're going to do it. Y'all, what you just saw was Kaumba Creative Arts. They are awesome. Give them a hand. They've been doing good work for a long time. I like to say whenever I see Patricia show up, she got a yard full of kids with her, and she's teaching them culture, and they're doing it. They're leading now. So we want to give her another hand, particularly for all the stuff she's doing with her family, with her husband, and her children. That's not nothing. That's a whole lot right there. All right. So when I say Habari Gani, that is a Kiswahili term that means, what's the news? All right, so pretend you're in East Africa somewhere, and Swahili is a language that is understood and pretty well known throughout the 54 countries that are composing the continent of Africa. And it just means what's up. It's our way of saying what's up. So we say Habari Gani during Kwanzaa, which is also a Kiswahili word that means first fruits. During our Kwanzaa holiday celebration time, in our Pan-African communities, when we say Habari Gani, what's up, you answer with that day, the day of Kwanzaa that we're celebrating that day. Today is the first day, and this is Umoja. Everybody say Umoja. All right, I know I don't have to give milk before meat in Durham. Y'all old school, y'all have been doing this for a long time, so I know that there's a lot of people who know this already, but there might be some who are hearing this for the first time. And either way, it's not grievous for us to remind one another of these details. Sometimes when you know something really well, you kind of gloss over the details a little bit. So we're going to get into the good stuff. Are you ready? The answer is still yes. All right. So I'm going to read, I was reading as I was getting ready for today. I want to read this before I ask for permission to start the ceremony from elders. I want to read this out loud for everybody's hearing today. Kwanzaa is the only non-heroic, non-religious African-American celebration. It was founded in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Karenga. It was created out of the cultural nationalist philosophy of Kawaida. The philosophy of Kawaida argues that the key challenge in the life of Black people is the challenge of culture, and that what Africans must do is to discover and bring forth the best of their culture, both ancient and current, and use it as a foundation to bring into being models of human excellence and possibilities to enrich and expand our lives. And I share that with respect to my teachers who handed Kwanzaa to me directly and indirectly, Terry Tyam D and Brother Fess Bradley in Charlotte. It's good to remember that this is a cultural celebration. And they didn't bring me in here to preach, but I want to say this. We're going to light the candles. But listen, we have a culture. Don't let anybody tell you that we as African Americans do not have our own culture. We got a lot to be proud of, nothing to hang our heads about. We are a strong community. We are a strong people and always have been. We have a lot every day to celebrate, and we have a culture. Our culture is not only slavery. It did not start with slavery. And even with slavery, we still have plenty of beautiful things that we have accomplished as a community on this continent. So we have Africa, and we have now, and then we have our future. We are transcending time as a people right now, powerfully. And the narrative would have us believe otherwise. So I guess I got up in the car and drove up from Charlotte today to tell each and every one of you to consider that we own the narrative. There's nothing weak about any of us. Your people are not weak. We do have a culture, and we have a lot to celebrate then, now, and tomorrow. Ashe? All right, I'm gonna bring it back in. All right. Don't people get in your head about this stuff and make you think that you're not what you are? Stop playing. You're not going to tell me what I am. I know whose grandchild I am. I know what my grandfather did with seemingly nothing, but he had hope. And he had his people, he had his family, and they did it. Stop. Okay, here we go. All right, so, yes, that's what we're celebrating, and I'm excited about you all joining us in that. So with that, I would like to ask respectfully to all of the elders who are present, if it is permissible for us to continue the ceremony. Ashe. All right, thank you. All right, it is proper then for us to pour a libation and offer respect to our ancestors, those who have gone before us, as we do so. And so I will read the Tamshi Lantambiko and pour into this plant. It's a aloe who is ready for us to water it. And as I call out the names of the ancestors who are offered inside of the text of the Tamshi Lantambiko, which is the libation statement that is offered through the Kwanzaa celebration, the standard Kwanzaa celebration that you would find at any Kwanzaa, I would like for us to, as you hear the names that are called, to say Ashe. Ashe is just a word that means it is so, or you're affirming. It's a way of saying, yes, I agree. Okay? And then after I've read the Tamshi Lantambiko, it is our opportunity to offer the names of persons within your family who have passed into the realm of ancestor, or in our communities who have offered energy and good service and love to our communities, who may not be famous. Some of them may be famous. If you want to, you can call out who you want to honor in this moment as we start. All right? Ashe. And this is what happens when you've had more than a few Kwanzaas. Eventually, you're going to need some glasses to read these things. I did my first Kwanzaa in 1990. Yeah. Don't do the math. Just let the math be mysterious the way, yeah. And so I'm going to also have our water, the cleanest water that I could find. I didn't get this out of a tap. And this is our Kikombe cha Umoja, which is the unity cup. And were we in a family setting with our Kikombe cha Umoja, we would pass this around and everybody could drink. That's not what we're doing today, but we will offer into the plant, a live plant with real soil, and offer this for regeneration, honoring our ancestors together. Our fathers and mothers came here, lived, loved, struggled, and built here. At this place, their love and labor rose like the sun and gave strength and meaning to the day. For them then who gave so much, we give in return. On this same soil, we will sow our seeds and build and move in unity and strength. Here too, we will continue their struggle for liberation. and higher level of human life. May our eyes be the eagle, our strength be the elephant, and the boldness of our life be like the lion. And may we remember and honor our ancestors and the legacy they left for us as long as the sun shines and the waters flow. For our people everywhere then, for Shaka, Ashe, Samori, and Nzinga, and all the others known and unknown who defended our ancestral land, Ashe, history and humanity from alien invaders. For Garvey, Muhammad, Malcolm, and King, Harriet, Fannie Lou, Sojourner, Bethune, and Nat Turner, and all the others who dared to define, defend, and develop our interests as a people. Ashe. For our children and the fuller and freer lives they will live because we struggle. For Kawaida and the Nguzo, the system of views and values which gives identity, purpose, and direction to our lives. And for the new world we struggle to build, and for the continuing struggle through which we will inevitably rescue and reconstruct our history and humanity in our own image and according to our own needs. Ashe. And at this time, I invite you to share the names of persons that you'd like to honor from your family and or communities. Ashe. Say them loudly so we can share them. Ashe. 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 Having called the names, we call it done. So technically now here we would sing, lift every voice and sing. But if I start singing, y'all gonna all run out of here. Thank you for laughing there. The laugh goes there. We're gonna have fun, y'all. Y'all, if you didn't come to have fun, you're in the wrong place. We're gonna have a good time. I think that the intention was to bring the candle ceremony forward a little quicker. So I don't know that you all have access to that text as well. If there's no offense in that, because I'm acknowledging that that is out of order to not do the anthem here. If there's no offense in that, I would like to move on to the lighting of the candles. Okay, someone say, can we sing the first verse? Y'all good with the first verse? I'll get away from the mic. We can sing all three verses, but I just didn't want to assume that y'all had the, you're not helping me, but I'm gonna move away from the mic. When Patty LaBelle get here, we'll let her do what she does. You gotta know your anointing. Now, if you're a singer and you know you're a singer, you can come forward and be about that community life and lead. that felt great. I'm glad we did that. Thank you, sis. Whoever that was that said, can we at least do the first verse? Yeah. That's how you got to speak up. Just require that thing sometimes. That was good science right there. All right. So now we're ready. We're going to, if this is your first Kwanzaa, clap your hands. Oh, welcome. Yay. All right. So now if this is your 15th or 20th Kwanzaa, clap your hands too. Yeah. All right, no matter if it's your first or your 15th, this is exactly where you're supposed to be, all right? So I want to just quickly, y'all I can talk. I want to just quickly go through the symbols, and then we'll light the candles for the Nguzo Saba. Okay, we have the Mshuma Saba, the candles here, the 7 candles, Mshuma Saba, on the Kanara, which are holding the candles. And each candle represents one of the 7 principles, which is called Nguzo Saba. All of this sits on top of mkeka, which is a mat that should be made out of some natural fibers or be on something earthen. This is mud cloth and natural fibers from Mali. Also on a Kwanzaa table, and you don't have to be in an auditorium to practice Kwanzaa. You can do this in your home. You can have these things in your home. You can set up a Kwanzaa table the same way you set up other symbols for other celebrations. All right, so we have cultural items. I always have some kind of instruments because I'm a dancer and a low-key shaker ray player. I like to have things that represent culture and our expression in our home. All right, so who did that? Y'all don't make me dance, stop playing. You better turn that music off. This is gonna be a whole different show in a minute. It would be a dance party right now. And that's good science too. Yes, cultural, you also have tools like books and stories, things that represent. These are things that would be in the category of gifts. And if you're going to give a gift, which you should be something that you either make yourself, don't go run up your credit card. You make it with your hands. I sew, so I would sew some things for people sometime. I used to do that. Or you buy something cultural, some information, some knowledge, like a book or CDs or things. Listen to me, I'm showing my age. Give some information. Things that you can impart culturally, artwork, those kinds of things. So this is zawadi, okay? The gifts that you give are called zawadi. That's the word that they use for gifts. And so you have the plant, you have the kukombe cha umoja or the unity cup. You also would have the vabunzi, we used to say, or they say now mazao, which are the crops, the first fruits, all of the harvest that you're getting. So we have a literal harvest that we get when we pull in crops from the field. But there also is a harvest to take account of as we look at our community and we decide, what did we gain this year? What did we accomplish as a community? What are going to be some of the things that we plant seeds for the next year? Kwanzaa this week is a time for us to come together and not just only dance and sing, but to plan and strategize how we're going to be fruitful in the next year, okay? And so typically, I don't have that here on this table, but I should and you should have corn here, mahindi, all right? Now, you have corn on any table. The corn represents your children. So if you have 3 children, you will have 3 ears of corn. If you have no children, you at least have 1 ear of corn, because even if you do not have any children that you have brought into the world through your own physical being, you are still responsible for all of the children in the community. So everybody should have something that represents corn or the children on their table as we celebrate and acknowledge. Yes? Ashe? So that is the mahindi. And then also, what else? I got this, I don't want to miss anything. Oh, Vendetta. So in the front here, you have the African flag, or a representation of the African flag. You have the red, you have the black, you have the green, and we call that African flag with the liberation colors here, the Vendetta, okay? And typically, you could see that on a table, Kwanzaa table as well. All right, so those are the primary symbols that you will see. In terms of the principles, you have umoja. Everybody say umoja. And umoja is a word that means unity. So during the first day, which is today, we will celebrate unity. And I'm going to read off what Karenga says about umoja. And here we go with these glasses again. I'm glad for my glasses. I'm glad for the time. I'm glad for all these years. It's a blessing. All weather is good weather, as I've heard it said. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and the race. All right? So the black candle is the one that we would light first tonight, because that black stands for the people. Full stop. And the people have to be unified before any of this other stuff can be what we need it to be. Without unity, we got a whole bunch of back and forth and a low level of chaos, and we get some things done, but it won't work the way we need it to work. So then, on the second day of Kwanzaa, we have Kujichagulia, which is self-determination. Everybody say, Kujichagulia. Yes. Let's see what he says about that. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. I could tell you what my version of these things were, but I want to read exactly what it is, because like I said, it's good to remind exactly what we're doing here. All right? So we're defining ourselves, creating for ourselves. All right? Third day of Kwanzaa, we have Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. Everybody say Ujima. Aha, I like it. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. We forget that part. It's good to remind. All right? So we have the red candles and the green candles. You light the red first because the red represents the struggle. And so I've heard it said the blood also that is shed in this process. And the green represents hope and future. And I'm glad I looked back to see what exactly, because after 1990, that was a good many years ago. I think I know it without having to look at it, but I'm glad I looked at it and went back and got that word hope. Because people lately have been saying green stands for the prosperity of the people and the land, and maybe that's but what is written on the Kwanzaa website right now is future and hope. And I will share that hope is a weapon. Oh, that's not me talking, that's the government who said that during the interview, talking about how they get information about from different wars and different things from people when they need to interrogate. The way that they find a way to get the information that they are seeking is to make the person to whom they're talking feel as if there is no hope. And once you have made someone, broken them down to the point where they feel like they have no hope, they will give you whatever you ask for. I never forgot that interview, because I thought of us. I was like, that's not us. We always find a way to hope. And when I say us, I mean African American people. And I want us to reconnect with that. Y'all messed up asking me to come up here from Charlotte, because you're going to hear this today. We got to reconnect with that, because once you keep your hope, you can win. But once you say, nah, there's no point, you're gone. And they know it. I'll leave it right there. We have hope, or else we wouldn't still be here, still efforting, still working, still coming together, still hoping something happens. When we stop, it's over. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. A drum beat goes right there. Don't stop, okay? Keep dancing, keep singing, keep doing whatever it is your thing that you do. Keep doing it. All right. That's collective work and responsibility. Ujamaa cooperative economics, that comes back over here. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. All right, I'll keep it moving. Nia, to make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Kaumba, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. Kaumba means creativity. It's a temptation to only think of art and performance with that creativity, but we've made a way out of no way many times in many ways because we are very creative people and we will work it out. Last one is Imani. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Imani means faith. I need some children to come on stage with me. If you ain't got no bills and somebody drove you here, you are under 18, you need to come on stage. Okay, sisters down here to help you get on stage. We need the youth. Don't be scared, be ready. Let's get it. Come on, baby. Come on up. Stand right. You can stand on the side. You can come back here. I'm going to need some people to help me. I need everybody to be present because we're doing this as a community. Y'all give your young people a hand. Come on, babies. Yes. Don't hurt yourself. Let the sis help you. Okay, we have help on this side over here. If you have young children that are on the edge of the stage and they're not going to do this, you come get them because I don't want any accidents, okay? Next time, we bring her up next year. Come on over, y'all. All right. So the reason that we have young people light these candles is because you want somebody here who knows what to do when we're not here. All right. So we're going to call out each day. And if you're not scared of fire, you come on up. You ready to do this, baby? All right. The first day is?
Umoja.
Yes. Say it out loud, sweetie. You said it.
Umoja.
Yes. Get up, maybe a hand. You got it? Good job. Okay, thank you. All right, so step back and let somebody else come. You want to do it, sweetie? All right. Second day is Kujichagulia. Can you say that? turn it off. All right. So thank you all very much. My name is April Turner. Thank you. I want to acknowledge Taylor and Aya Shabu. I'm going all to the last name before I get through the first name. Taylor and Aya Shabu and everything that they're doing here. And all of the people at the Hayti Center, Mark and everybody else here who make this happen every year. These things don't happen because you wish they would. Somebody is working on it and holding space for community and holding space for culture. So let's give all of them a round of applause also. Ashe, thank you. We have a few minutes before the dancers come back, and Africa Unplugged will come back in a few minutes. So hold on just a second. We have time. Let's just be with that for a moment. We got a few minutes. I'm going to take this off. Okay, so I just got the word that we want to invite you to come get fruit from these baskets that are offering. This is free fruit that you can participate in the first fruits. And so if you'd like to do that, I'd like to offer you that opportunity to do that as well. All right. So let me share something since we have time. Yep, if you can come get your fruit, but I'm inviting you to participate in this moment that we can have to share. And if the music plays and you stay, we might be able to dance right now. I like to tell the story about a man. I'm a folklorist, dance folklorist, and a storyteller by trade. Bring it down just a little bit, EJ. And this is a particularly good one to share when we're considering how to start the day, start the year, start all of our walks as a community. I met this man from the Congo one time, and he was saying to me how important it is for us to sing our songs, how important it is for us to come together and say the poems and the things that our grandparents used to say and sing the songs that they used to sing. And he said to me, he said, did you know that you can solve a problem with a song? And I said, what? He said, oh yes, you can solve a problem with your songs. The songs that your grandfathers are singing, the songs that your grandmothers are offering, the poems that they say, you can solve. Big problem. I said, wait a minute. You might be able to change your mood with the song. Or maybe you can, get someone else to see something a little differently. But how can you solve a real problem with the song? He said, listen. Not too long ago, not too far away, there were two best friends, Mahongu and Kalungu. Mahongu and Kalungu were best friends from way little on up to now. But something came and sat down between them, and they could no longer see one another clearly anymore. They began to argue all the time, argue. Mahongu said, hey, how can you say that you are my friend? You are not my friend. You are all the time going around the village saying bad things about me. You are not my friend. Kalungu said, what do you say, sir? I have said nothing about you. Nobody even wants to say anything about you. Why do you think someone even want to talk about you? I know that you have done these things. You have said to all the people in the village, you are saying bad things about me, and I know that you did this. You are not my friend. They argue so long and so loud that their families began to argue with you. And then they argue so long and so loud that the eldest elder of the community had to come forward. Hey, stop this one. Hey, there's too much arguing right here. Mahongu, Kalungu, I want you to stop it, and stop it right now. Hey, we must go into the council hut and discuss this one. Now, the council hut had a ceiling that was only this high, so no one, adult somebody, could jump up too quickly in anger without first hitting his own head. But they continued to argue in there with their families present and everything. They kept arguing. I know you are all the time trying to make it seem as if I am doing bad things. I am doing no bad things. But you're telling everyone, my wife, you're telling all of my friends, you're telling all of the people in the village, I'm doing bad things. I have done nothing bad. Why do you think someone is saying bad things about you? Nobody even want to talk about you. It is not always about you. And his wife get into it and say, hey, stop it, my husband does not have to swallow your foolishness. Eldest elder had to come in again. I see we're going to have to solve this one the traditional way. Snip. Mahongu, Kalungu, I want you to all go into the village square. Get your wives, get your children, get your wife, get your children. You're going to all go into the village square. And we're going to solve this one the traditional way. I need all of the drummers to get your drums ready, all of your instruments. I want you to play every rhythm we ever played from the beginning of our people. I need all of the singers to come. Ready your voices. We're going to sing every song you ever sang. From the beginning of our people. Come, all the dancers, we want you to ready your legs and you dance. You're going to dance every dance we ever danced from the beginning of our people. And I need all of our village elders to come, sit in the place of honor. And you're going to recite every proverb we ever had from the beginning of our people until we find the one that is the answer to this problem. Do it now. So back in that day, you didn't have a back word to the eldest elder. You got to move it. So all the drummers began to ready all of their drums for playing. All of the singers began to ready their voices so they could sing every song we ever sang from the beginning of our people. All of the dancers began to ready their legs so they could dance. Every dance we ever danced from the beginning of our people. And all of the elders came and sat in the place of honor so they could recite every proverb that we ever recited from the beginning of our people. But Mahongu and Kalungu at first used the proverbs to continue their argument. Mahongu said, The man who wants to act like a lion must beware of the hunter's arrows. Kalangu said, the man must be careful not to take a step that's too long for his own leg. Mahongu said, great fire come from tiny spark. And Kalangu's wife was tired of this. She wouldn't, she said, the one who talks and talks will soon end up with an empty mouth. Stop it. Stop it right now. Elder's elder had to come in. I see. You must say your proverbs with a clean heart, or else it's not going to work. Do it now. So, the drummers continue to drum. The singers continue to sing. And all of the dancers continue to dance. And the elders continue to recite every proverb we ever had from the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of our people. And they continued. A nice festival was happening with all of the music, the dance, the singing, and poems. Days went by. They kept singing, kept dancing. 2 days, 3 days, still singing, still reciting the proverbs, still dancing every dance they ever danced from the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of our people. 4 days, 5 days, the festival is still going on. They're still singing, still reciting. 6 days, 7 days. On that 7th day, something beautiful happened. A mother came forward and said, no matter how thin the thread of truth, it never snaps. A child came forward and said, make a bed for other people's children to sleep in the same bed that your children sleep. One of the village warriors stepped forward and said, the best bed a man can sleep on is the bed of peace. And an elder came forward and she said, it is better to do what is right than to do what is big. And as they all continued singing and dancing and enjoying everything, Mahongu and Kalungu were standing before one another, and they could finally see one another clearly again. That thing that sat between them began to disappear, and they smiled, gentle. And Mahongu said, when darkness leaves the room and light enters, darkness will remove itself. Kalungu said, to have more and more friends is to have less and less foes. Mahongu said, those rowing in the same boat share the same goal. Kalungu said, the river is wide, but it can be crossed. And as they all then continued to sing and dance with one song, the eldest elder was satisfied that peace had been restored to the village. And he stepped forward to say, patience is bitter, but it bears sweet fruit. The remedy for anger is delay. And even today, the remedy for dirt is water. And with that, he reached down and picked up a big calabash filled with water, passed it around, and everyone in the whole village washed their hands. And so I said to the man from the Congo, you mean to tell me that the answer to the problem between the two friends was inside of the song? And he says, oh yes, our songs, our proverbs, our poems, our rhythms, our dances, They remind us who we are. So I took that little story and folded it up, put it in my pocket, so I could come bring it to you today to remind you who we are. Ashe. All right, ladies and gentlemen, family, you all have a treat happening right here. We have some dynamic musicians that I have the honor of calling friends here today. That's right. That's exactly right. Go ahead and ukulele and give it all up. Africa Unplugged. Yes. They are a dynamic group led by djembe master, guitarist, and songwriter Atiba Rory. The band, yes, Atiba. Yep. Yes, and yes. Give it up. The band uses traditional percussion instruments from West Africa in combination with guitars and bass to play traditional rhythms while drawing from influences across the world. Their creativity results in that funky, soulful blues and dance music that keeps you moving as they tell stories from the old world and the new. Everybody give it up for Africa Unplugged!
Give it up for everything you've seen so far. I plan on being around tomorrow and later on today, so let's give it up for everything you will experience through this whole Kwanzaa. And thank you, April Turner, for that beautiful introduction. So I'm gonna say this first time publicly because I'm here at the crib in Durham, but there's something to add to my resume, and a few musicians from Durham. We have a Grammy-nominated project by Pierce Freeline and Nina Freeline that features a lot of local musicians, including yours truly. So now we are Grammy-nominated. Come on with it. Dunia betende do hilabalo, dunia betende do hilabalo, dunia betende do hilabalo, dunia betende do hilabalo. this is the best sound I've ever heard in this building. Thank you, man. You're doing awesome. Give it up for the sound, man. Volonda la manzana Pinta volonda la manzana Pinta volonda la manzana Pinta volonda la manzana today. Butler knows y'all. Dorma muna koma, agabele konga yoga. Dorma muna koma, tabelindo, tabelindo, tabelindo. Dinira kona rakanie, tabelindo, tabelindo, tabelindo. Dinira kona rakanie. Margabele koe, dorma muna koma, margabele konga yoga, dorma muna koma, tabelindo, 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 zinisa kona bakanie, tabelindo, 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 zinisa kona bakanie. Bargabele koe, dorma muna koma, bargabele konga yoga, dorma muna koma. Come on, y'all. Tabelindo, tabelindo, zinisa kona bakanie. Bargabele koe, dorma muna koma, bargabele konga yoga, dorma muna koma. Tabelindo, tabelindo, zinisa kona bakanie. So this one is for the Dirty South. All right, then, here we go. I know I should, but I just can't let you go, no. 'Cause chasing you is costing me all my dough. I know I should, but I just can't let you go, no. Time has come for me to walk out the door. I just can't let you go, no. And chasing you is costing me all my dough. I should, but I just can't let you go, no, no. The time has come for me to walk out the door. Butler knows on bass. Zay Malik, Zay Malik.
I begged her not to go. She was like, please, gotta leave. I was like, no, don't do that. She was like, sweat on the sleeve. Gotta take you off for a second. Gotta take a walk, my boo. Gotta take a second on stretch out. Can't stay with you. I was like, please reconsider. She was like, no, can't do that. I was like, come on, it's not the time. She was like, oh yeah, matter of fact, gotta split right now, right now. Gotta go, cannot wait then. I was like, hold on, wait, my love's for a second. She don't really care, it don't really matter. That's all locked in the past. Don't really matter, she ain't coming back. Guess that's just the facts. Gotta deal with it, move on. Gotta deal with it, stay strong. Gotta deal with it, nothing wrong. Just me singing my song. Everybody in the world, throw your hands up if you're feeling my pain. Everybody in the head, throw your hands to the side if you're feeling the same. This ain't no silly talk, this ain't no game. Say Malik, the freak of the beat. Yo, unplugged, that's the game. Oh, Africa, we coming out. Africa, we rockin', no doubt. This is all off for the top now, baby. This is 50 years of hip-hop. I wanna celebrate, I wanna tell y'all, everything out here ain't always nasty and dirty and dirty. Sometimes we all are worthy. Hey, stand with me, throw it up. Kwanzaa, yo, what up? Umoja in the spot. First day of Kwanzaa, yo, what's up? Africa, unplugged. Say Malik in this mug. The girls gon' go. Got another one for show. Deuces.
All right, so I personally believe this is the best rhythm section ever created in the world, in the history of the world. Partially because Durham's involved in a whole lot of ways. But on Sangbang, Kesereni and Ken, Lamar Lewis. And right now you're gonna hear from Elisha Harris playing Dunumbab, 2 Kinkinis on the side, and Yanga. Come on, E-Money. The first time that I saw your smile, I just knew that I had to talk to you. I didn't have any fancy lines, but I realized that I just had to walk up and say hello. And I asked for your number, so maybe we can get together. And it was sweeter than honey. Sweeter than honey, baby, your kiss is sweeter, dee-da-dee. Sweeter than honey, sweeter than honey, baby, your kiss is sweeter, dee-da-dee. And I remember the first time that we got together. We went to go see a movie. You wanted popcorn, I wanted some candy. The movie's so crowded we could barely find a seat. I said that I'd had a good time. You said let's do it again soon. Hey! On Sangbang and Kankani and Bell, Lamar Lewis, y'all. Come on, Lamar. And it was sweeter than honey, sweeter than honey, baby. Your kiss is sweeter, dee-da-dee. Sweeter than honey, baby. Your kiss is sweeter, dee-da-dee. And I remember the first time that I felt your kiss. It was a very special moment for me. And the first time that I felt your lips, I was left with this feeling. It was the best summer ever, one I always remember. Sweeter than honey, baby, your kiss is sweeter, dee-da-dee. Sweeter than honey. Shikuru Ililio. Come on, y'all, let's party now. To make a thing alright, and it takes two to make it out of sight. Let me hear y'all singing now. Come on, sing now. Yeah. And it takes two to make a thing alright, and it takes two to make it out of sight. Come on, y'all. One more time now. Rolly, rolly, roll. Come on. All right, mama. Y'all doing all right? Trouble? What you mean? All right, so, look, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We got two more. We supposed to only have one, but we gonna do two. Man, keeping it 100. So, guarantee your kids gonna be tired. Best uncle in the world, but I always send them back. Sarama songo, sitama sarama songo. Aeni ale, sitama sarama songo. Sarama songo, sitama sarama songo. Aeni ale, sitama sarama songo. Son bébé, sarama songo, sitama sarama songo. Sarama songo, son bébé là, sarama songo, si tama sarama songo, ayeni ale, si tama sarama songo, son bébé là, son bébé là. right, we're going to invite y'all to sing a song with us. How about that? All right, we got a couple people. The rest of y'all will catch on. Your words are easy. Let me hear you say, son, bebe la. Okay. One more time. Son, bebe la. Thank you. See, man, dude, you're awesome. You're hired. Okay. So I'm going to say something, and then the ladies respond first. And then the guys respond second. Make sense? I hope it doesn't, because it will in a minute. I'm going to say something, then the ladies will respond. Then I'm going to say something, then the guys going to respond. You'll know your notes in a second. Yeah? Cool? So this song comes from Manding, and it basically says, no one is beyond reproach, in a very eloquent way of talking about elephants and other stuff. But it basically says, you know, everybody doing the best they can. The idea behind it is that you tell your neighbor things to help them improve, not because you're judging them, but because you want them to be better. So it's no better occasion than to be playing this at Kwanzaa, I think. And then we're going to put a little blues thing on it in a minute. Ladies, son bebe la. Ladies, guys, son bebe la. Ladies, son bebe la. Yeah, guys, son bebe la. Okay, so I say, Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo, son bebe la, ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo, son bebe la. You got it? We're doing a lot, ain't we? Yeah, come on. All right, here we go. One more again. Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo, son bebe la, ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo, son bebe. Yeah, so here choir, it sounds better when you hold that la out, because it's gonna be two of us. I can't hold it and do the other part. So now it's just me and y'all. Let's just do it with these bells and see what happens, yeah? Here we go. Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo. Ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo. Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo. Ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo. Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo. Ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo. Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo. Ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo. Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo. Ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo. Sarama son fo, sitama sarama son fo. Ayeni ale, sitama sarama son fo. Son bebe la, son bebe la. What are they fighting for? And now is the time that we call for peace for Mama Africa. Oh, peace over and locking it, yeah. Peace around the world, oh, peace around the world, yeah. Peace for Mama Africa, oh, peace over in Sudan, yeah. Peace around the world, oh, peace around the world. African children living in a concrete situation. The African children living in a concrete situation. The African children, them are youth, living in a concrete situation. The African children. Tears drop like rain, wash away the pain. So many lost, what is left to gain? Because sons are dying, mothers crying, fathers lost, fighting for the cause. I said that sons are dying, mothers crying, fathers lost, fighting for the cause. When will it stop? Too many bodies drop. And now is the time that we call for peace from Mama Africa. Oh, peace over in Senegal. Yeah, peace around the world. Peace around the world. Hey, somebody go get Robert Corbett. Y'all tell everybody the Bantaba about to start right now. Around the world. Happy Kwanzaa, y'all. Come on. Anybody feel like dancing? Come on up here. Come on up here. Come on. The Bantaba is now the dancing ground.
Celebration is a force. Come put your energy into this celebration. That's how we win. Hey, hey. All right. All right. Y'all give it up for Africa Unplugged and Kaumba. Kaumba West African Dance and Africa Unplugged. All right, hold on, a couple of announcements. Before we do the Tom Shila Tuta Anama, which is a farewell statement, we do with our Harambes at the end. I'm given the task of announcing that you are encouraged to patronize the vendors, including the vendors who are in the community room. Don't forget about them. There also is a survey that the organizers of this event, Aya and Taylor, would like for you to fill out so we can make the event better and better each year. And also, there was one more thing. I forgot the last thing. Yes, okay, get the fruit. Take some of this fruit with you. What you say? Yeah, okay. Yeah, take some of the fruit with you. This fruit is for you. You were asked to take one, but if it's still here, that means maybe it's more than one. I don't know. All right, but let's Tom Sheila Tutu Anama. At the end of this, we can all stand as I'm reading. If you'll stand now, we just get in where we fit in right now. If you're not standing, if you're able to stand, please understand that this stuff is not on sale at Walmart for 99 cents. This is very valuable stuff. And so you here, come get it all. Let's get this last little bit. All right, and at the end, we want to have 7 harambes. Harambe is a word that means pull together. We're going to pull together. We're going to, at the top of our lungs, go harambe 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That last harambe, you hold it as long as you can, loud as you can, big as you can, and then you let it go, okay, at the end. Y'all ready? The answer is yes. All right, good. Let me get my glasses again, y'all. I'll tell my age, but then it'll be too real. All right. This is the Tom Sheila Tuta Nana, the farewell statement. And we will do, as this is instructing by all grace, strive for discipline, dedication, and achievement in all you do. Dare, struggle, and sacrifice, and gain the strength that comes from this. Build where you are, and dare to leave a legacy that will last as long as the sun shines and the water flows. Practice daily umoja, kujichagulia, ujima, ujama, nia, kaumba, and imani. And may the wisdom of the ancestors always walk with us. May the year's end meet us laughing and stronger. May our children honor us by following our example in love and struggle. And at the end of the next year, may we sit again together in larger numbers with greater achievement and closer to liberation and a higher level of human life. Here we go, y'all. Harambe, 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 harambe. Ashe. Enjoy your shopping, enjoy the evening, spread love and power. Harambe, harambe. Hey girl, how you doing?
Come straight up here and give you a hug. Hey, my knee's doing the thing, so I was like, okay. We're not even gonna get up here and play.
Okay. Well, you know what you need to do, what you know.
Last time I played, just a little bit.
It wasn't no game. Yeah.
We had a problem, so I was like, we're gonna sit all the way down this time.
Well, you got to know, so that's what, you know.
We're working on it.
It's all good. Well, I'm glad to see you. I'm all out. Glad to see you.